Hello and welcome to Gardening at 58 North. In this video I'd like to give you guys an update on my dahlia plants here. So I planted them quite a while back in, I think it was mid to late spring, and they've done generally quite well, especially the one on the left. The one on the right has had a few issues, and I'll go into why those issues have occurred and what I think could also be happening with it to cause it to grow less vigorously. But generally these were two similar types of dahlia. The one on the left was actually a very cheap supermarket one. It was probably only about £1 or something for the tuber. The one on the right was from a well-renowned seed stockist online. It's probably about £5, maybe £10 a tuber, but the tuber was much larger. Now from the get-go the problem was this one, it had lots of thin kind of fingers on the tuber. Most of them were broken off, so that's part of the reason why it was less vigorous to begin with, whereas the one on the left didn't have any of those long thin fingers, had a really big fat tuber and started off quite vigorously. And from then on what I did is I had this one in the larger pot because this was a much larger group of tubers. I was expecting some more growth from that, and it was supposed to get to a slightly larger size of plant, so I wanted to have a nice big pot to get the full potential. The one on the left, what I did is I put it in the grow box. As you can see, it put on a huge amount of growth. I did nip off the shoot just a little bit before it came out the grow box, so when it was in the grow box it probably grew to about this height, then slightly taller, and it's been outside ever since. The one on the right here though, this was actually grown in a north-facing window. It did get very leggy, and so what's happened is it got very leggy. When it went outside it then flopped over, and it's been growing in that position ever since. So it probably went outside and it was already about this size here, probably about to there, but obviously standing upright, and that's why this growth is now shooting upwards, because it's starting to compensate for it. So once these went outside, this one on the right really didn't get much bigger. This was actually a larger plant at the time. The one on the left, since it's been outside, it's actually grown a huge amount, and you can see there's an awful lot of leaf on it. There's still no flowers though. It is the 1st of August today, but dahlias take a long time to flower, and being in Scotland it just makes it even later. So normally in Scotland we don't normally expect to see dahlias until probably the end of August at the earliest. September, October is really when you see them at the best. So no flowers yet, but I'm hoping that I'm going to get some flowers soon, because as soon as they start flowering they'll just keep flowering until the first frosts. Now it has been a fantastic summer. It's been a lot warmer than normal summers, a lot drier as well, and a lot sunnier, which has really helped them out. I've been able to keep them plenty watered on the balcony because I can water them every single day. But I think there might be also some vine weevil that's been causing an issue, because this plant on the right, as I say, hasn't really grown since it's been outdoors. Also, it was going very limp with its leaves. It looked like it was actually going to die. Even though there was plenty of moisture in the soil, it kept going limp whenever there was sunshine. It was just kind of drying out too fast. And the roots never seemed to come out of the bottom of the pot. It's just a classic sign of vine weevil. Is the larva. What they do is the larva is on the ground. They eat all the roots off the plant. The plant can't get enough nutrition or water, so it grows really slow, and in hot weather it can't get enough water, so it goes limp. So it seems to recover from that now. In the last few weeks there's been a couple of roots starting to poke out the bottom. Also growth has resumed, and it doesn't seem to go limp anymore in hot sunny weather. So I think maybe it's either growing fast enough for the vine weevils not to eat it, or more likely vine weevils have finished their cycle now and they're now adults instead of the baby vine weevils. So the grubs are no longer in there, the adults are off munching the plants instead. The adults tend to eat the leaves as opposed to the roots, so they're not causing as much damage. So hopefully that will recover now. I was thinking I was probably going to throw it out because I quite like to use that big pot. But as it started to recover now, I'm going to leave it. But certainly this one on the left, I'm going to give that a bigger pot. You can see how large it's got. It's a really good plant, and it's definitely pot bound. It'll definitely need some new soil for it. So I'll go ahead now and replant this. I'm just going to put it in a similar mix as I had before. I found that last year they seem to do better in a soil-based mix than a peat-based compost. So I'm going to put it in a soil-based compost with a little bit of peat compost added to it just for extra moisture retention, and also some perlite just to help with the drainage on the roots as well. So it looks like we've got a very good root system there. You can see it's quite pot bound but not overly pot bound. There's a few fatter roots which you can see are starting to form some tubers. A couple of the other ones down there as well. But generally if there is any tuber formation it's deeper inside the root ball. And I can see this root here is actually a new tuber on the side. That was actually a root a bit like this one coming off the side there. Kind of came along, went into the soil, and it's fattened up. So there will be quite a few tubers underneath, and they'll still be growing. But I'm not too bothered about tubers at the moment. I'm just wanting to have a larger pot so the plant can get bigger overall. So here it is now fully repotted. As you can see, the pot size is much more fitting for the size of the pot. I could have even gone to a slightly larger pot to be honest, but this is the largest pot I actually have at the moment. It's a 10-litre pot. Should be big enough hopefully for the rest of the season, and hopefully I can get some flowers on this thing. It looks like it's going to be a particularly large plant. I have been thinking about maybe nipping off a few more of the shoots to encourage more branching, but at the moment it seems okay. It does seem quite congested with the leaves. If I pinch any more, it'll get even more congested. And I'm looking for giant flowers, if this is a very large variety of flower for a dahlia. And if you want really big flowers, you actually want less stems. So I'm quite happy with how it is at the moment. I am glad that I did pinch it off earlier in the spring. So that's going to give me a bushier plant, a few more flowers than just one giant flower. It'll be interesting to see how it does. And anyway, it should do a lot better with this larger pot. I have been having to water it probably almost twice a day at the moment, because it's been quite warm and sunny. With the pot being so small for the last plant, it's been really thirsty. So that should help with that. I've also been giving them tomato feed as well, try and encourage them into flowering. We'll see how it goes. As I say, at the moment there's absolutely no sign of flowering. I've had a look down at the new growth coming up. No flower stems yet. It looks like it could be at least a couple of weeks until we get even a flower bud. And even when a flower bud does appear, because these are such large flowered varieties of dahlia, it will probably take almost a month for them to fully form. So hopefully I'll get some flowers this year. If I don't, what I can do is I can try and take them inside, put them under some grow lamps, see if they'll maybe get some flowers come November, December. But as I say, we'll just see what happens. We've still got the whole of August to come. It's only the beginning of August now. We've still got September, October as well. And as I say, generally in Scotland, it is normally September and October that you see the flowers and the dahlias. So we'll just see how it does, and I'll give you guys an update, and hopefully by that time, in the next update, we'll actually have some flowers.